Yes, yes, yes. We are live and in color. Yes, yes. The champ is here. The champ is here. Yep, intimate discoveries, heart to heart. The podcast redefining the conversation around what it means to be intimate in a world where conversations are superficial. We dive deep. This is 2025, baby. We bringing it right here, live and in color. I'm telling you, when you feel like you want to be able to talk and you don't have that safe space, well, we're going to help you to figure out how you have that safe space in your relationship because you deserve a safe space to be vulnerable. We know that vulnerability is the birthplace of intimate conversation, intimate relationship. But I'm telling you, you deserve it. And this 2025, we're going to get after it. Let's go! I'm here right now, baby. 2025. This is episode 87. Yep, we're going to it. I'm the champ. Champ is here. Yay. Champ is here, baby. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you all so much for tuning in the show. Y'all know how y'all love on me, right? Come on, baby. Come on. You love on me. Yes. Thank you all so much. Yes, for coming back for a whole new year. Man, no one thought I'd be here. This is year 2. And we about to bring it in, man. And today I'm starting off the show with a guest who is doing some great stuff globally. He's here to introduce this platform where men can come together, men on the rise, can come together Mondays at 8 o'clock to be able to talk, to be able to have a conversation, to be able to come together and talk about challenges for men who are on the rise and being successful. So without further ado, I got my man Steven on the show. Come on in, boss. Talk to me, man. Yes. Yes, thank you so much. I hear. Talk to me, Steve. How you doing, man?
Oh man, everything's love, man. Everything's great, man. I'm so glad to be here on your platform, man. So I'm just glad to be in the room, man. Glad to hear this conversation. We're gonna have a good time, my brother.
Absolutely. Tell us about Men on the Rise, man. Tell us about yourself. How'd you come about this?
No doubt, man. My name is Stephen Loney, and for years past, I've been in different arenas. I started off years ago in men's ministry in the church, and served in that capacity for quite some time. Had a lot of great successes. Then I ventured into helping with some mentoring programs. Started a men's group in the community. Did that for about 10 years or so, up until like COVID. We started a mentoring program, Brothers with Purpose, and we just serve, really empower, inspire men to reach their fullest potential by being a positive impact in our community. So from here now, we're doing a piece called Men on the Rise, and this is where we as men are doing meet on every Monday on a Google Meet call, and we actually talking and sharing some different ways of how we can strategize to be better for our community. Also doing things, not just talking about it, but also doing things about it. So we actually strapping up and getting involved. So we got men here locally, but also we got men that's in different places that doing the same. So that's what we're about. Mm-hmm.
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here on the show. And so the title of this episode, as I was talking to you earlier today, I say, you know what, we're gonna talk about men on the rise and the challenges that we have in relationships, right? Because you have men who are successful, and oftentimes you find them divorced, right? Or having struggles in relationships, online dating. You know, we got women that say men about games, right? And you have men on the rise, and at the same time, how do those men interact and have relationships with women who are on the rise or who have arrived, right? How do you know? So we're gonna talk about that today. So yeah. So tell me, um, just what's your relationship status right now?
Well, I'm married. I'm married, but actually I have been married before. So this is my second marriage. And I was married before for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm currently married. And I can tell you, marriage is not a birthday; it's a work. So I can attest from both things. For as far as being married, you know what I'm saying? It's an ongoing piece. You have to evolve and prepare yourself and make deposits. You have to make healthy deposits, and that's something that yeah, that's where I'm at though.
Okay. Well, and how long you been married?
This time around, we just had an anniversary on January 1st, so
Okay.
that makes years in.
How many years? You say how many years?
9 years in.
9 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's what's up, man. That's what's up. All right, we coming up on 10 years next year. So like I say, when we talk about the different challenges, right? Um, when you talk to men, or even you can talk about the challenge that you have right now is in relationships now, like being vulnerable, right? How does vulnerability play in your relationship like right now?
Well, I was going to share with you. We had a conversation earlier, and I was speaking to like some challenges that us as men have. Myself, I'm speaking myself first person. Um, I I see myself as no, don't mind sharing my transparency. I
Mm-hmm.
know I'm who has it all together. Like I said, I was married before, and anytime you have a divorce, it's not just one person.
Right.
we wasn't, you know what I'm saying? We both did. No one ever wins, and both parties had something to play in it. Yeah, you may have been the one who did this, which is a major, but we both had things that we could work on. And even now, in my marriage now, it's always areas to work on. But one thing it is that kind of cripples us as men from really being open about everything because how we were exposed or felt like we couldn't be, our trust was being lost on the last time our previous time. So that sometimes is a crutch and a hindrance from God sometimes to be as open as they would want to be. So vulnerability is important, but if I feel like you're gonna take my weakness and turn it against me, or I can't really trust you with that side of me, then I'm gonna kind of shield myself from being hurt. And so that's important that both parties understand I want to be open to you, but I want to feel like I'm secure when I come to you. I gotta feel like you got my best interest in heart when I do share my innermost secrets and things you know about me that is not my best things.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know that back in those areas. So I think it's work for both parties to make sure we're not using those pieces as weapons for when we're not in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I can use. I think that's something we both have to be willing to be open to help and not hurt each other. So that's something that I think personally I've been in those spots. So and sometimes you're slow to want to share that side of yourself because you feel like the other party won't respect or don't hold you. They don't feel safe.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So perfect. Um, so if you're requiring that woman to be that way, what are you doing to make sure that person is receiving that, right?
Well, I say it like this, and it's work to be done.
The work to be done. Okay.
I don't say I get it all the way right. I don't say I about 1,000.
Right.
Hey, was, but I'm definitely still got work to do as well. But it's been leading by example. Of course, if you're telling somebody, I need you to, be more of a listener, you have to do what? You have to be more of a listener too.
Right.
Because that person to make deposits, and everybody got their own love language. So that's another conversation. But you have to be willing to work on yourself as well. Because what makes a relationship work is because both parties are making deposits and becoming better. And so the way I was when I first got started, I shouldn't be still having those same hiccups 3 years in. I should have worked on some of those things if I want this thing to work. I have to be willing to be honest with myself and say, hey, I'm asking you to do this, but at the same time, I'm going to do this too. And that's, I think, communication about those things. Not only when you're arguing do you communicate about those areas, but you need to talk about those areas when both parties are willing to have a conversation so we can actually have, I guess I'll say, maintenance versus a lot of us go to counseling once once the house is on fire. But we need to have that conversation when we're just doing regular routine maintenance to where we can kind of get things in alignment. Hey, you heard me right there. Prime example, I put myself out there first person. Sometimes wife, she would get mad and say, hey, it's something harsh. And I'll be like, ooh, that. And to me, it might not bother her. I didn't think she was saying something. And I was like, ooh, that was like a gut check right there. And I kind of hold on to that. And then we got a chance to sit down with the pastor and talk about it. I was like, yo, that didn't settle right with me. He's like, I didn't really think that was going to hit like that. But I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm one type of person. If I don't hold, like say, for instance, I don't hold back. I give you 100%. I give you 100% of everything I have. And if you say, well, I keep a little bit to the side, I'm like, honey, we're going with this little stuff on the side. And so little stuff like that, I think it was something we had to talk through and get a better understanding that it was just how we was raised. We were raised differently. And I understand. So, but having others to help through that conversation made us come to an agreement. Okay, this is why. This is that. And so it's not always that person trying to do anything to hurt you all the time. But when you have those type of conversations with somebody like a counselor or something like that, someone you have a conversation with can help you understand to get to a better agreement. I know I kind of took it to the left, but
no, that's fine. So let me ask you this here. How do you define intimacy? When you think about intimacy, how do you define intimacy?
I've heard like this, and I'm pretty sure you have too. Intimacy. So what you see in. So it's like you inviting somebody into me to see me. Mm-hmm. It's not what you heard externally, but to really see the core of who I am. So really getting a chance to get to know the real me, not what I show. Even when I smile, it may not be the real who I am, even though I may have to put on a facade. Mm-hmm. But just look, I'm to know my heartbeat, know what makes me smile, know what things that hurt me, mm-hmm. and not.
Yeah, so that's all. I when I hear that into me see, I think it's cute. I think it's cute, and here's why I think it's cute, because you have to be interested in seeing in the other person, right? So yeah, you can have into me see, but what about into you I see, right? Right? So yeah, into me see, yeah, you looking into me, but am I looking into you? That's I've got to want it to work, because even before a relationship you can exit a relationship way before you exit a relationship. If you know, so it has to be, do I want this thing to work? And once that person makes a decision, I want it to work, even though it may be going in the wrong direction, but the person has to have an interest to make it work. And so both parties have to be investing. That's why I say again, you have to both parties have to make deposits, right? And not deposits that I feel there's a deposit. It's almost like your love language. Of course, if I like touch and you over here give me words of affirmation, that ain't no deposit. You can tell me I look good all day. That ain't doing nothing. That ain't moving the needle. Mm-hmm. But you got to tell me. You got to touch me. Mm-hmm. Right. And again, those are. I think that it's good that understanding love languages. But if you want me to touch you and you got on that Freddy Krueger sweater, right? You took a shower in like 2 weeks, right? Yeah. Or you just coming in here hooping and you sweaty. I don't want to touch you. Yeah, it got to be both. Like I said, mutualism. Both parties got to be willing to come in the way that, let's say, once you got married, so you put a couple pounds, you change a little bit, and now you got to make sure that you package that thing, that gift, the way it's presentable.
So let's say if I hear someone say, if I had a steak, a ribeye steak, cooked the way you like it, and the way I presented it to you was on the garbage can lid.
Are you a Cancer?
Oh, you know what I'm saying? I'm December 27th.
December 27th. Oh, I think that's Capricorn. Okay. Yeah. I'm listening. I'm listening because I always hear that. Cancers always give that example about you presenting, you cooking a steak, and that what is it? Bill Cosby talk about that, putting it on the trash can and presenting it, right?
Yeah, but my main point is you got to present that the way that package the gift the way it can be received from the person you're giving it to. No one wants to say here. You know what I'm saying? Boy, you a nice something, ring, whatever. And we just gave it to you any kind of which way. That's not where you want it. You appreciate it, but it may not stay hit the same. And so that's the same way in both sides. Both people have to package that whatever I'm giving you in a way that you can receive it.
So again, so then what happens if you and your partner find yourself homeless, right? Right, and then all we have is this trash can to put this lid on. That's all we got is to put our steak on this thing. Then what?
You better go get some napkins out of KFC or somewhere. Put that on. It's a way to still present it in a way. So, but even I'm glad you went there though, man, because that really brings out the truth in a relationship.
Right. Right. And so the thing is that we put all of these variables in a situation that you don't even know what exists. And so now you and I found ourselves in a situation and I really want to make sure that we eat, right? And we've matter of fact, you're in LA. You in LA and your house burned down. Your house gone. And all you can do is scramble up whatever you can get and to bring it all home. You found this trash can. What are you gonna say then?
Yeah. Again, like I said, even when you don't have nothing great, if you care for something, you still gonna get your best to it.
But that's what I'm saying. As far as is when life happens, and we're telling you got to package this, you got to present stuff, and come on, I'm like, you done told me, you done put me through all this stuff, and I'm trying to make sure that we eat.
Tell you like this: love is sweat, sacrifice. Love is not something that's gonna come easy. When you truly love something, and agape love, I'm not talking about the erroneous and filial love. I'm talking about agape. You're gonna find a way to give that person something from your heart that
right. And so if given from their heart and all I had was a trash can, the lid. That's all I had.
That's when let's say, for instance, if all I do is think here without thinking further. For instance, I bought my wife some a diffuser today, and that wasn't that major. And it was because it was on a Wednesday. I wanted to surprise her, bring out on a Wednesday. Right. Nothing going on. I could have just left it in the Walmart bag and gave it to her, right? No, I put it in a black forever bag.
Right.
Wrap it in it. I did something. Even if you just took some, you know what I'm saying? You can go as far as saying, hey, if I go over here and walk across the street, I can go get some napkins or get a bar plate from Bojangles. It's a way to go the extra mile. See, that's the thing about it. You have to be willing to go the extra mile if you want to have a successful marriage. Because I tell you this, if I'd have brought my wife that same gift in that Walmart bag, it wouldn't have got the same respect.
Well, and so because and in that particular case, I have this thing here, right? Where when it comes to gifts, if it doesn't move you, it's not going to move them. Right?
Yeah, I got you. But so also,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you did that extra stuff because that moved you to put all that extra stuff in there, right?
I take it like, listen here. I heard it from Bishop J. This is where one of my tools is. He bought some flowers. He would bring home flowers to his wife. She said, "Oh, that's cute, nice." And she said, I told his sister, "Well, that man, I don't know what it is. I just been to top of the line, flowers, roses." And she always give the same, like, "Oh, that's cute," and whatever.
Right.
He said, "No, you got to know where to bring them. You need to present those flowers to her at her job." Crazy. It's not always what you give somebody; it's how you gave somebody this, and also about packaging it right. It's not always. And say I do little small things. I may give let's say bought something, and I leave it in the car on my way in the car. When she get in the car, go to work. Thank you.
Same here.
Little small things like that makes a difference. When you say, "Let me not just be regular, but let me be extraordinary in how I do what I do," right? Those little 1% things can get a whole different situation.
Oh, it can. It can. You're absolutely right. So it takes effort, right? And the thing is that when when I look back on my marriage, when I was married 22 years, I look back and I see that I was skimming off the top, right? I wasn't given, when it comes to being intimate. So let me help you. First of all, I'm gonna define intimacy for you so you can understand where I'm coming from. So I ran upon this definition of intimacy. Intimacy is defined as the level of commitment. Intimacy is a commitment, positive, effective, cognitive, and physical closeness that one experiences with a partner in a reciprocal relationship. Right? And there are 4 variations to intimacy. 4 of them. Right? Intimacy. There are 4 different variations of intimacy. The lowest level of intimacy is cognitive intimacy. Just exchanging thoughts one with another in a reciprocal relationship. So if I share something with you about basketball and then you start talking to me about cooking, that's not that's not reciprocating, right? No, you got to reciprocate, right? And then that's exchanging thoughts. And then the next level is spiritual intimacy, which is exchanging thoughts about morality, religion, and things of that nature, right? And then the next level is emotional intimacy, when it's rooted in self-disclosure. It's choosing to share one's feelings with another person, right? Again, we talk about self-disclosure. I feel like this. This is how I'm feeling, right? This, when you did this, it made me feel this way. Or I don't like these things of that nature, right? And the highest form of intimacy is sexual intimacy. When you choose to share your body in the form of physical touch, affection, sexual activities like that, right? And that's where I look back and I was like, oh my gosh, reciprocity is important in a relationship. And so when it came to reciprocating, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't reciprocate. When it comes down to time, like we say, hey, hey, babe, can you, what do you think about? What were you thinking about? Just a little question. What were you thinking about? And then I would say what? What would you say? Huh?
I don't know.
Nothing. Nothing. No. At that moment, because we're in an intimate relationship, I was required to share what I had, what I was thinking about. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't reciprocate. And never look back at when I was in the streets. I go back to Chicago, right? Reciprocity in the streets is like, you gonna give one. If I give you something, you gonna reciprocate right there, or we gonna deal with you, right? And then how often do we look at our relationships at that level? Am I reciprocating in the cognitive, in the emotional, in the sexual part, we look at how many times she done came up short, right? I make sure she I came and got a quickie, right? And that's that reciprocity. We supposed to make sure that she walks away with a positive experience, and you don't left her hanging. Like, are you serious? Right? Now for me, I know I'm guilty. I don't do it now, but I'm just saying because the thing is, I have my own convictions about that now. Whereas if if you and I get to that level, I ain't got to make sure that that I'm reciprocating, right? But again, that's at that cognitive level, right? If you can't talk, even if they can't talk to you about how they feel or what's going on at the cognitive level, then when you get all the way up to the sexual part, they're not sharing with you. You know what? I need you to move to the left. I need you to do this or whatever. I don't like that part, right? Or my body is different, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, man? Tell me.
Well, definitely, you opened me up on some good stuff, man. I appreciate you sharing that information, man. Because, like I said, it's definitely should be levels of intimacy,
right?
Like I say, to first, I mean, but I think it also damages if you jump to level 4 too fast.
Right, but think about it. How often? So when you talk about being in a marriage, right, and you are arguing, right? You're arguing in your marriage, right? How does cognitive intimacy even evolve there?
But definitely, that it is something to learn how to have a disagreement, how to have healthy conflict.
Well, right. So here's another thing that I adopted. This is just Champ Franklin me. When it comes to agreeing to disagree, right? I don't do that.
Okay.
I don't agree to disagree. We ain't do. I don't do that. Period. Simply because I'm not looking to disagree with you.
Okay.
Right? Because we can, oftentimes when we're talking, we're looking for a reason to disagree. And then you find it. Then you find a disagreement and then you hold on to it. And then now you bring this stuff up. But however, if you look for a reason to agree, just like you look for a reason to disagree and find it, think about what happens when you look for a reason to agree with your wife, right? And you find it, right? And then she feels validated, right? That's one thing that I know that when I look back 22 years, are you serious? I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. And I'm like, listen, because again, when it comes to my stuff, your opinion is right. Right? My opinion is right. If you ask me how I feel about something and the way I see something, I'm not looking for you to disagree with me. You can disagree with me if you want to, but then you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna like, well, bless God. I'm gonna let your disagreement come through, and it's gonna fly on over there, and it's gonna sit down in someplace else because that's your disagreement, and that's all yours. That's your disagreement. I didn't disagree with you because I just said, hey, well, amen. That's how you feel. Your mama showed you how to bake chicken that way. Well, bless God. You see that kids need to be, treated a certain way. Kids need to be so much on. When I look back and I can say for me, this is the moment where I'm like vulnerable. I share whatever, right? When I look back on, my children, right? It's been like 2 years, a minimum of 2 years that I haven't talked to my kids, right? 2 years. And I showed up to all these stuff. Well, their first cars, I gave them both their first cars, right? But anyway, my point is that think about all the disagreements that we had about the kids. And now they gone. right? They going and they doing their own thing, and they ain't even call, ain't even talk to me, and I stood up for them. Whatever, right? I took blows for them, right? And they don't call me now, so I'm like, listen, I'm not disagreeing with you about how you feel, because those are your kids. You do your kids how you want to do your kids. Now, when they come to my kids, my children, I treat my children the way I treat my children. Now, when your children go with you, then you go treat your children the way you want to treat your children. But don't tell me I'm doing my kids wrong, because I'm doing everything, well, most of the stuff that my mama showed me about taking care of kids. And what my mama didn't do, I'm gonna try to do that for my kids, right? And you try and do the same thing. So why you telling me I'm wrong when I can tell you wrong, right? And then after a while, the kids go off and do something else, and now we don't like each other.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are you thinking, man? I see your mind going.
And as far as, I'm not gonna try to change your thoughts on how you view a thing, and so it's great to be in a place where you can agree that this person sees it a different way, and if that's how you view it, I'm not here to try to convey you to think the way I think. I have to allow you to think and see it the way you see it, and
Right.
if it's some things that say, hey, it affects me. Let's say, for instance, if it's something that is mine, and you do something I don't agree with my item, then I do need to have that conversation. Though I can't just say I do need to have that type of conversation, but pick and choose your conversation. Everything.
And what you're talking about, boundaries, right? We talking about boundaries. Now, if that person hasn't encroached on your boundary, right? Something that belongs to Steve, then hey man, let her talk whatever she want to talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, but like I said, just pick and choose the boundaries. Pick and choose those battles and things like that, because everything doesn't need to be addressed. And that's some things I've learned.
But again, you're right. The stuff that when it pertains to you, and it's important to you, and it applies to your life, then you can address it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
If it don't apply to your life, bless God. I ain't trying to talk about church stuff, because most of them folk over there, they flaky anyway. They ain't up on that tithing offering. I'm talking, you show me somebody who is up to date on that tithing offering, then we can talk about that, right? And so, but again, going back to having those conversations, right? And again, I think about the moments that you miss being intimate with your wife. We talking about just twice a month, just having an argument, disagreement twice a month. You coming up on 10 years, right? That's 240 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking about like 240.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I agree, man. I think sometimes, like I say, I love when you saying having that common conversation where we're feeding each other on. Let's say you was talking about something, me truly listening and conveying in that conversation. I think that's so important to do. Like I said, that was like a aha moment for me. Even when you're saying this, like, how do I do that? It's like listening, but also how do I respond? Do I just am I ready to just get my point across?
Mm-hmm.
Am I ready listen to what that person is saying and making sure I fully understand, and then speaking back to them in that same vein of conversation. So that's important, man. I think that's a really good thing, because a lot of times we think we're doing something, we're really not, because we're going through motions versus really engaging with in intimacy in that space. So that's important, man. I think what you said was really something even for me to say, I need to do a better job and making sure that when I'm having conversations with, or even with others, that I'm really attentive listener, and making sure that I am talking about that. And I think in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, Stephen Covey talks about, and I know that's something I have to be work harder on.
Right. So when we talk about looking for reasons to agree,
Yeah.
right? What did you agree on that person was just talking about?
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens is that opens you up for more conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And again, look, we going back to the streets. I can say I grew up on the west side of Chicago, grew up in a drug house, and and saw drug deals being transpired. Right? I never forget when my brother and I we were working the door. Oh my gosh! And so my brother, my dad was a quadriplegic, right? My dad's quadriplegic. He takes Valium. They prescribing him Valium for his pain and all this other stuff. And so we will put some Valium and some brown up some milk sugar, and then put it together, and then we sold it to the guy. Right? We gave it to him instead of the other stuff, the real stuff. And he came back to the house. He came back to the house, man. And my dad quadriplegic, right? My dad hand paralyzed from the neck down, run the drug house.
Okay.
And he told into us.
Oh man.
Right? Because we could all get killed.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
But that's that reciprocity, right? That's that you cheating somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And so I had to bring my relationship up to that level. Right? If I'm in the streets and they told me I'm supposed to listen to this person and I didn't listen to him,
Consequences.
the consequences.
Yeah.
Right? And so when you think about your wife, right, you like, how many times I just blow her off?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm like, you had an argument. You hold on. He arguing with you again? He run off at the mouth again? Are you serious?
Mm.
Right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, man. Gotta
Huh?
make sure. Yeah, definitely. I'm with you, man. Yeah, we gotta make sure that we gotta hear ourselves. A lot of times when we make a apology and say, "Man, I may have messed on that one," are we really hearing ourselves to try to correct it
Right.
moving forward? And that's something that I can't say I master, but when we fail a test, are we trying to make corrections so we don't go down that same path?
Right.
Continue.
Right.
And you're gonna bat 1,000 going forward, but you should see some growth. You should see some. Keep on stepping on that same nail. You know, you need to. That's crazy. That's the definition of insanity. When you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, saying not making any change, you got to be willing to make some change if you want to see growth. You want to see progress, because at a certain point in time,
right.
up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in the streets, right? How many apologies do you get in the streets?
Man, they might give you one. They might give you two. It ain't gonna be more.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to say the streets, they grade hard. You know what I'm saying?
And again, you take if you're taking the streets serious, right? And you not taking your marriage serious.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they got both got dire consequences. One just may be like a cancer versus a shotgun, but you know what I'm saying? It eventually same thing. It brings death. And so the thing of it is, you have to not take it for granted. Don't take those things for granted that this person will always be accepted to my shortcomings or my excuses.
Right. Again, going back to going back to the streets. Right?
Yeah.
Going back to the street, how many excuses do you have? How many times you can make an excuse?
Not very many.
Not very many. And that's what I'm saying. This is why we end up in divorce, right? This is why we men don't have sex at the level in which we desire sex. Simply because you skim it off the top, and you think it's cool.
Yeah.
And then when I bring it to your attention, you got back talk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of us think that we pay them bills, which
Right.
is that's something that we should do.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
like I heard one of my cats, I'm babysitting the kids. I'm like, how you babysitting your kids? That don't
Right.
make sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, missing out on moments that to be intimate with your kids.
Yeah. And it's we have the wrong view of our responsibilities. And when you like picture of how you should operate, meaning that's just the bare minimum. But if you try to always pursue to be not this average, but above average, what does above average look like? Do you take the time to aim for above average? Or do you okay with this being better than your father?
Right. And I tell you that in itself, that's a whole nother thing. If you trying to be better than your dad,
that doesn't get to the floor. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying because I thought I was being better than my dad, and I missed the mark. I think I missed the mark, right? Because I'm going at all my kids' stuff, and I'm at there screaming, "Wow, whoa, come on, girl, you can do it." And they're like, "Dad, can you be quiet?" I'm like, "No." Because nobody was at my games screaming at my game. Nobody cheering me on. You better be grateful that I'm even here cheering for you. Right? Missing the mark. Trying to be better than somebody they don't even know.
Wow. That's important, man. It's like, man, like I said again, we talked about love languages. Understand what this person deems is important.
Right.
And find ways to tap into that. But also I always say sell that. Like again, if you wanted to study, let's say when you was in the military, and you had to study your target or your enemy or whoever you was going, and you had to do research. And that's the same thing you have to be willing to do in your relationship. You have to understand who this person is today versus 10 years ago because they're not the same person today.
No, they're not.
You're following and find out, okay, this person likes this now.
So let me ask you this here. When we talk about intimacy, right? What level does those conversations happen on?
Rephrase that for me. I'm not quite following.
Yeah, when we talk about levels of intimacy, we talk about cognitive, spiritual, emotional, and sexual. Those conversations, at what level do those happen on?
Mm-hmm. What levels do they happen on?
Right.
If I'm hearing you correctly, well, it has to be, well, when you're willing to make deposits into that, it has to be in a time when you're open to in a good mood, I guess you would
right. So what happens is those exchanges that you're talking about happen at the cognitive level.
Okay.
At the cognitive intimacy level. Okay. Right? Nice. And if you're not preserving that safe space for a person to make that exchange, right, then you just blew another moment.
Mm. So being at the time when they are ready to receive.
Right.
So yeah, so like I say, if a person is mad, they got their walls up, they're not going to hear you doing something that means something that they wanted. You may have bought them a car, and they like, I don't want to see.
Right. But again, we talking about your wife, right? We talking about your wife, right? Right.
So even no matter what you give them, if it's not done in the right timing, and they're not ready to receive it, they're not going to receive it.
Well, but here's the thing, right? You being an elite dude, men on the rise. Yeah. Can't you ask, like, hey, listen, this is an elite dude right here. Hey, baby, is there anything I can do to help you to feel better? Yeah. Right? What do you need me to do to help you to feel better? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
And I agree, because sometimes if I'm not the reason why she's not feeling better, she may be open to have that conversation.
Right, but again, right? But again, the thing is that, okay, so you've been married 9 years, right? Can you tell me 2 things that your wife has asked you to do that you could not do? Not that you didn't want to do or you felt like it was petty or whatever, that you could not do.
I didn't want to do or could
No,
not.
that you couldn't do. 2 things in 10 years that you could not do.
I know one, she wanted her dream house.
Right. Well, you can buy a house. You can do the dream house, right? You just got to save up.
Yeah, you can say.
Right. You can save up, right? You can put together a plan, execute the plan, right? Because you men on the rise. So take that out.
Making her feeling to change how she her mood. If she wasn't, if I can't validate or either make her feel better.
Right. So you can't validate her.
Can't make her feel no better if it's her job to make herself feel better.
Right. So you can help her to feel better.
But I can't make it.
You can't make her come either, right? You can help her to come, right?
I can't, bro. She has to finish that.
Right. But my point of it is, right? There's nothing that she's asked you to do that you could not do.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Nothing in 10 years that you could not do.
Okay.
And so now we're going to ask you, how many incomplete assignments do you have?
I got a list of them now.
And that's my point, right? And you walking around the house, right? Men on the rise. And if you were in the streets, you be stabbed right now. If we saw you, you know that you short 10 bags, right? You short like 10 bags. Right? You got a list of them. You got a list of them that you short on. You be stabbed right now. Bam. Somebody be looking for you. Matter of fact, you sitting up like chilling with your hat on, and they can tell with that beard that that's you in the window. Right? And that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I want you to understand, that you got when you decide to complete your assignments. Complete them the way she wants them done. Because when we talk about Ray and Lil Squally and those guys, you make the exchange. You sitting up on 83rd and Halsted, or 15th and Cicero, right? And you standing there till you finish. And he told you, hey, listen, when the guy, I'm gonna give him he gonna give me the money, and then you gonna walk over there and you gonna go in that paper bag, and then you gonna pass him the stuff. You don't fumble. Right? That's all I'm saying, huh? No, I got another way we could do it. You know what I'm saying? Won't I hold the drugs with me? You know what I'm saying? I want to hold them with me, and I can put the money in the other pocket. Right? Right? We ain't trying to hear that, man. Because if you get caught with both of them, then you gone. We lost everything. Right? But again, when it comes to our stuff, right? Now, when you look back, you're like, you know what? This 2025, right? All of my assignments gonna be done, right? I'm gonna write them all down. I get them all done, and then you go back to her, right? You're like, hey, listen, is this complete? Did I get an A on this, right? Did I make the dean's list on this, right? Because if she come to you, you already know you on the dean's list, right? I'm in on the rise. I'm on the dean's list. What you need? Hey, this Steve right here. What you need, babe? What's up?
Exactly.
Right? Tell me your thoughts, man. What do you think about that, man? Talk to me.
Yeah, I really feel like it's always room for improvement with how you ask the question and find out what is that I can do to be better. And like I say, that person has to be in the right time. You can't just do it, in a time where a person's not in the right sync to talk about it for whatever reason. They're not soon they come in the house when we're not the time to ask that question.
But you can ask. When is a good time?
Yeah, definitely. You can find out when's the best time. Can we schedule time for us to talk about it?
Right. And we already know that you know how to make stuff better, present stuff, because you ain't bringing it on a trash can.
No, I ain't doing that.
Right? You ain't bringing it on a trash can. You're going to present this thing in a way that is pleasing and acceptable in your sight, oh Lord, right?
That's one of the things. Make some deposits first, and then set the stage for you to have those type of conversations. But sometimes we, as not just men, but just us as people, we make a deposit, think we're ready to make a withdrawal.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, right? But we talk about being in an intimate relationship with reciprocity, that there's no withdrawals in an intimate relationship.
People take this out.
There's only exchanges. Go ahead.
Exchanges, but at the same time, you make this deposit, and then you make a different type of deposit. Like you said, it's 4 levels of deposits. And so once you instead of skipping steps along there, you make this one, but then you spend time to have that conversation, then you spend time to do this, then you be like, wow, I got so much greater reward on the back end without even asking, because I made different deposits, and now I'm receiving something because I made the right space.
Absolutely.
Like you said, some stuff that really, I didn't think about those different levels of deposits that you can make.
Right.
Yeah.
And all those are key, man.
Yeah.
All those are key. You send me, we both about to cry.
Yeah, that's investments, man.
Yeah.
And so it's not you like the assets and liabilities. You make some investments into something that's going to yield you off a greater reward, because you investments. Of course, when you make an investment, you always think that it's going to not just sometimes even give you double. It may even give you 10x. It may even get splits and things like that. That's going to bring forth so much more than you actually made a deposit.
And then so as an investor, you also have to protect your investments.
Yes.
You ain't letting anything just go on, right? So you're gonna continue to have a good record, right? You're gonna watch the trends, right? You're gonna make sure that you trending in the right direction, right? You know, it don't matter which way you go with this thing, man. I'm all on your street, right? But at the end of the day, man, like I say, I know this is your second marriage, and I'm excited for you, and I want you to continue to have explosive experiences, with your wife. I want to talk about roller coaster level excitement, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely know that you're gonna have your lows, but your highs should be higher than.
So let me ask you this here. Who told you that you're gonna have lows in your relationship?
It's like it rains on the just and the unjust. So it's not the fact you're gonna have good days and bad days. Don't mean that you guys are at odds, but you're gonna have different lives. Car gonna do something, kid gonna do something. You can come in between. Doesn't all the matter.
So let me ask you this here. So you saying that you and your greatness, right? Because it's possible for you and your greatness and your great wife to be down at the boat at the same time.
When I say down, doesn't mean that we have to be in a down
state. No, that's what I'm saying, right?
Situation in life, you know what I'm saying? Like yesterday, I went out to my store. Well, not yesterday, a couple of days ago, and I had the infestation of mice got in there. I'm like, didn't think about that, but guess what? It didn't kill my joy.
Right.
I just had to deal with it.
Right. Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So again, so if you can, if you can think about your relationship, right? I'm talking about like from this point on, right? There are no lows. We the two of us are not going to experience lows ever again.
wasn't a low, but when I told my wife, you think how you think she took that?
Right, but
it wasn't the best moment. I don't know, makes me look at how
right, but again,
classified as a low, but it was a situation that we had to address, and
right.
and kill our momentum by any means. It didn't do that,
and that's my point, right? We didn't have a low. No, we had a situation that caused us to make some adjustments, and we just kept moving.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, man. You can't allow, like when you're on a boat, man, you can't let the water get in the boat, man. You know, you gotta sometimes, you gotta flood, you gotta deal with it, but at the same time, you can't allow it to sink you because of the fact that it's a storm.
Right.
Outside.
And who knows, right? If the boat sinks, right? You know what I'm saying? If the boat sinks, again, you got to think about this, right? I'm that half-filled dude, right? The boat sinks, you might be close enough to swim the shore. Okay. Right? Right? That was not boat, right? It just depends, right? That's all I'm saying. Huh?
It's automatically, well, it's not an automatically that you're going to, but it's challenging when you allow things that come against the flow inside
right.
Things you don't want things to happen. And so long as you keep like you got the fruits of the spirit, you want to make sure you maintaining that. I don't ask God to give me more peace or things like that. I just want to grow, because when you ask for certain things, you're going to have some storms that's going to mature you in those spaces. So I'm careful asking for more love, because now you're going to have to be tested a little bit in order to grow in that space. So, but with that is, once you, like I said, working a muscle, you're going to have to put the pressure behind it, but you're going to have to make some sacrifices to make sure that you're growing in those areas that you want to see happen. So in a relationship, you want to make some certain sacrifices, certain disciplines and things like that in order to see yourself moving to success in that area.
Well, bless God.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. I like I said, man, I'm glad you came on the show, man. We're coming up on 1 hour, and unless you Cat Williams, we don't go into 3 hours.
All day, man.
So tell us tell my audience, man, how we can find you, man. What we can do.
Awesome, man. Like I said, we both in the same area of speaking. So one of the areas I do is speak life. So we have inspiration, and I speak to the audience of men. I speak to the heart of men on different platforms. So I'm constantly in the prisons and to jails and in different areas such as that. But also, as far as if you want to follow me, you can follow me at Stephen Loney, and that's on YouTube, Facebook, and also on IG. Stephen Loney, but then you also can follow Men on the Rise on these same platforms, and you should be able to find us there, Men on the Rise. And we definitely got some different things we're going to be doing throughout the year, but
What? All right. Well, this is Champ Frank, and we are coming on 1 hour in our show. Remember, the sky's the limit. Don't stop on the moon. Champ is here. And thank you for tuning in to another magnificent episode. We know that vulnerability is the first place to a relationship. And you have to provide a safe space for you and your partner to be vulnerable. Remember, vulnerability is the first place to enter a relationship. You cannot be vulnerable. There's no safe space. I am your host, Champ Franklin. We are out.